Beyond the light of the sun lies a sanctuary of peace, yet that peace is bought with a promise. This profound security rests entirely on the Shadowy Guardian, Anubis, whose legacy is defined by an eternal duty to safeguard the resting souls.
Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, picture this. Ancient Egypt's famous dog god. You're probably seeing something kind of shadowy, maybe a bit spooky, right? The god of the dead.
Yeah, that's the typical image, often from movies.
Exactly. But we're here today to, well, dig deeper than that. The sources, they show us an Anubis who wasn't dark or evil at all. He was essential, actually benevolent, the guardian who made the whole afterlife concept work.
That Western view is precisely what needs a rethink. And thankfully, the sources we have are just phenomenal for tracking him. We can see his role evolve over, what, 3,000 years?
3 millennia, wow.
Yeah. We've got amazing archaeology, obviously, the Tutankhamun shrine is key, but also the core mythology, like the pyramid texts, coffin texts, and even later stuff from Greco-Roman times.
So it's like watching a character develop over centuries. Our goal then isn't just history. It's more about his job description.
That's it. Our mission today is to unpack who Anubis really was.
Yeah.
The meticulous embalmer-in-chief, the ultimate guide, the psychopomp. We need to sort out his relationships, with Osiris, set those get confusing, and really understand why he was the one you needed to get you safely to the other side. Okay, let's get into it.
Right. I want to start with that image, that look. Jackal, or man with a jackal head. But the color. It's always this intense, deep black, not like desert dog color. Why black?
Ah, you've hit the nail on the head. That black isn't about looking like a real animal, it's pure symbolism. Deeply important.
Okay.
The sources tell us that black is the color of the fertile Nile silt, the rich mud that brings life every year. So it connects them straight away to rebirth, regeneration.
Not death and dust, but life and renewal. That's a complete flip.
Exactly. And there's another layer. The black also represents the embalmed flesh itself, preserved, protected, made ready for eternity. He's the expert making sure the body lasts.
So he's moved from, I guess, a scavenger figure to a protector, a preserver. How early do we see this role emerge in the texts?
Pretty early on, actually. We see Canid figures way back, maybe 3100 BC, though some scholars think those might be Wepwat, another jackal god, the opener of the ways.
Okay, a related figure?
Possibly. But by the Old Kingdom, say 2400 BC, in King Unis's pyramid texts, Anubis is very clearly defined.
And what titles does he have then?
Very specific ones. Jamai Reki, he who is in the place of embalming, confirms that preservation role. And also, he who is upon his mountain.
Like a sentinel.
Precisely. Watching over the necropolis, the city of the dead. And here's where it gets really interesting. Initially, Anubis seems to have been the chief god of the dead, basically the ruler down there.
Wait, hang on. If he was the chief, what happened? How did Osiris become, Mr. Underworld?
That's the evolution. As the Osiris myth, his death and resurrection story really took hold, especially in the Middle Kingdom, Anubis's role adapted. He didn't vanish, not at all.
He just got a new job title.
Sort of. He shifted from being the overall ruler to the technical expert, the embalmer-in-chief, the one who prepares the body, prepares the soul for the kingdom that Osiris now rules. It's a perfect setup, really.
Ah, okay. Anubis handles the prep and the journey. Osiris handles the destination and the judgment. Makes sense.
Exactly.
Now, back to his form for a second. The jackal. Is it definitely a jackal? I've heard debates. African golden wolf, something else. Did the Egyptians themselves care?
Probably not in the way we do with modern zoology. For them, the symbolism was everything. That Canid figure lurking watchfully at the desert edge where the tombs were, that image was powerful. It perfectly represented the guardian of the dead.
So the specific species wasn't the point?
Not really. Today, we have DNA analysis and debates, sure. And interestingly, the pharaoh hound, which looks so much like the tomb paintings, has kind of captured the public imagination. Even if it's not historically proven, that silhouette is just iconic.
We've got the myths, the texts, but the most tangible proof of his importance has to be Tutankhamun's tomb, right?
Absolutely. KV62. The Anubis shrine found there in 1922 is probably the single most famous object linked to him. Howard Carter found it right behind the entrance to the treasury room.
Guarding the valuables.
Yes, and crucially, facing west. The direction of the afterlife. It was literally the first line of defense for the king's journey, guarding his canopic equipment too.
And the statue itself, it's not just a carving, it radiates divinity. The details are incredible.
It really is magnificent. A life-size jackal lying down, made of wood, painted that symbolic black. but the materials elevate it. Gold leaf on the ears, the eyebrows, the collar, around the eyes.
The eyes themselves are striking too.
Inlaid calcite for the whites, obsidian for the pupils, gives it this intense, watchful gaze.
But the detail that really jumped out at me from the reports, the claws.
Ah, yes. The claws are made of silver.
Silver, not gold.
Silver.
Yeah.
And that's hugely significant. In Egyptian belief, gold is often seen as the flesh of the gods, but silver was sometimes linked to their bones. Using silver here really underlines his divine nature, his very substance.
Wow, silver claws. That's not just decoration, it's theology carved in metal. And even the wrappings it was found in had a story.
They did. Layers of history. It was wrapped in a linen shirt dated to Akhenaten's reign, Tutankhamun's probable father, year 7. Then fine gauze over that, and these beautiful floral collars made of lotus and cornflowers, a real mix of eras and rituals.
And the shrine itself, the box it sat on, that was symbolic too.
Yes, a trapezoidal base. Carter called it a pylon, like a temple gateway, covered in gold leaf again and decorated with jade pillars.
Symbolizing Osiris, stability.
Exactly. And yet knots, the symbol of Isis, representing life. Plus, inscriptions inside naming his key aspects. Immute, he who is in his wrappings, and Kenti Sanager, foremost of the god's booth or divine hall.
And this whole thing wasn't just stuck in the tomb, right? It was used.
The archaeology confirms it. The shrine sits on a sledge-like base, a palanquin really, with carrying poles still attached. Clear evidence it was carried in Tutankhamun's funeral procession before being placed as the Eternal Guardian.
Okay, so he guards the body in the tomb. Now let's follow him into the Duat, the underworld. He's the guide, the psychopomp.
The indispensable guide. He's the one who leads you, your soul, into the underworld to face the final judgment. And his biggest, most critical role there is overseeing the weighing of the heart.
Right, in the Hall of Two Truths. This is where Ma'at, that concept of truth and cosmic balance, really comes into focus.
Absolutely. Anubis holds the scales. He ensures your heart is weighed accurately against Ma'at's feather. And the stakes couldn't be higher.
Because if your heart is heavy?
Heavy with wrongdoing, heavier than the feather, it gets devoured instantly by the monster Ammit, and that's it. Oblivion. Your soul ceases to exist. Anubis ensures that judgment is precise, fair, balanced.
He's upholding cosmic order right there at the scales, but he also had a more earthly protection role too, connected to the tomb itself. How did that lead to the whole curse of the pharaohs thing?
Yes, the curse. That story actually starts with something quite practical found near the Anubis shrine. A small magic brick made of unfired clay.
A magic brick.
Yeah, basically a protective charm. It had an inscription, a formula meant to protect Tutankhamun and repel anyone or anything that might disturb the tomb. Part of it read something like, "It is I who hinder the sand from choking the secret chamber. I am for the protection of the deceased."
So like a magical security system.
Pretty much. A standard magical defense for a tomb. But when news of the discovery got out, the press, especially internationally, kind of sensationalized that inscription.
Ran away with it.
Completely. That protective spell got twisted into this idea of a vengeful curse striking down anyone who entered. Anubis' role as guardian got turned into something menacing.
That's fascinating. But the idea of him as a guide, that clearly had staying power. It lasted well beyond the pharaohs, into Greco-Roman time.
Oh, absolutely. His role as psychopomp endured and maybe even deepened in some ways. We see it clearly at places like the El Salamuni necropolis.
A later site.
Yes, Ptolemaic and Roman periods. Huge cemetery. And there, Anubis is consistently shown, often with Ma'at and Hathor, leading the deceased person into the presence of Osiris for judgment. But El Salamuni adds a twist.
What's unique there?
El Salamuni is the only place we know of where the tomb scenes show the guides leading not just the blessed dead person, but also these mysterious black silhouettes.
Black silhouettes, like Anubis.
Exactly. Scholars think these might represent a kind of duality, maybe both the blessed soul and the soul of a defeated enemy, or perhaps the darker aspects that need judging. It emphasizes the completeness of divine justice.
So the whole concept of guidance itself must have been incredibly important to the Egyptians.
Foundational. The Egyptian word is SSM. It means to guide or guidance, and it's everywhere in the funerary texts. The pyramid texts, for example, have spells that are basically divine roadmaps for the king's soul.
Telling him how to navigate the afterlife.
Yes, and emphasizing how gods like Re, or the Eye of Horus, and especially Anubis, will SM him, guide him, protect him, ensure safe passage through the dangers of the duet. Anubis' job as psychopomp made that promise real.
Okay, before we wrap up, we have to tackle this confusion. Why do people, especially in the West, sometimes mix Anubis up with evil figures, like Hades or even Satan?
It seems to come from a misunderstanding, maybe conflating any god associated with death with negativity or chaos,
Yeah.
which is very much not the Egyptian view.
Because the sources are clear.
Crystal clear. Anubis represents order, meticulous care, benevolence. He oversees the processes that maintain Ma'at, cosmic balance. He's the opposite of chaos.
So who is the chaos figure in their mythology?
That was Set. Set embodies disorder, violence, storms, the desert. He's the one who murdered Osiris. Anubis's traditional role, in fact, was helping Isis put Osiris back together, literally cleaning up Set's mess.
And the family connection? Wasn't Set sometimes called his father?
Some early myths suggest that yes, but the more dominant later myths make Osiris his father, with Nephthys, Set's wife, as his mother, who had to hide him. This firmly allies Anubis with Osiris, with resurrection and order, positioning him directly against Set's destructive chaos.
Okay, that really helps clarify the Anubis versus Osiris roles, too. Can you give us the final summary of how their jobs split?
The simplest way is function. Anubis is the god of transition. He handles the physical process, the embalming, the wrapping, and the initial journey and judgment, the guiding, the weighing of the heart.
He gets you ready and takes you to the door.
Exactly. Osiris is the god of resurrection and the ruler of the destination. He's the king of the underworld, the realm where the worthy souls cleared by Anubis get to live eternally. Anubis is the guide, the facilitator. Osiris is the king.
So Anubis emerges as this essential, enduring guide. He who is in his wrappings. Safeguarding the body, yes, but more importantly, carefully guiding the soul through that ultimate transition. He's all about order, preparation, a total contrast to Set's chaos.
And that idea, that core concept of a reliable divine guide for the final journey, it proved incredibly powerful, didn't it? It traveled far beyond Egypt.
How so?
We find images of Anubis in Roman settings like Pompeii. Sometimes he's even shown wearing Roman military gear, like a soldier's tunic. He adapted, became a more universal figure of guardianship and guidance.
Which brings us to a final thought for you, our listener, to ponder. When a god like Anubis travels so well across cultures, changing his clothes, so to speak, from Egyptian kilt to Roman tunic, does that core belief he represents the need for a divine presence to guide and protect us on that final unknown journey? Does that become less about specific Egyptian myths and more about something universal? A fundamental human need for assurance when facing the ultimate mystery.